Good evening, all. Okay, so yesterday, we were talking about exception and how to handle those exceptions, whenever it occurs in Java program. So we just saw about try, catch, and finally blocks, and also throw keyword. Okay, so let's go ahead, with the new concept. This called collections. Okay, so before we start collections, right? So yeah, we have, why do we require collections? Okay, so in case of, if we wanted to store a similar kind of data, okay, so in one place, okay, so that, you know sorry, yeah, so if you wanted to store similar kind of data, okay, data related variables, or whatever it, if you wanted to store it at one place, so we might, you know uh we might require something like this, the examples that you're seeing over here. So like egg tray, right? Egg tray is having only the eggs inside it, right? But sorry, so it can store only the eggs. Okay, so that means, it's like, similar kind of eggs will be stored into that tray, right? So what we are looking for, actually, if we wanted to store something different, different people names. Okay, so different people names means, like, all the names will be considered as strings. Okay, so like, a set of characters. So all set of characters, if we have something like egg tray, okay, so we can store, in one part of egg tray we can store one name, and the second part of, you can store, the second name, right? Something like that. So, to make all these things, like, whatever the the data that we are trying to store it in a one place. Okay, so that that thing we call it as, collection. Okay, so the data storage, the collection is going to enable, to store the data, similar type of data at one place. Okay, so, similarly we have, like, arrays. Okay, earlier. Okay, so now also we have arrays, but arrays was the first, collection that we can say. Okay, which enabled us, to store all these elements together, like, the similar kind of data together, in at one place. Okay, so the only purpose of this tray, let us come back to the example. The only purpose of the tray is to store eggs systematically without breaking them, right? So it has compartments to store multiple eggs. So one tray, uh, for multiple eggs, instead of having one for each, right? So that doesn't looks good. Like, whatever we are trying to do, it will not be achieved if we are storing multiple trays, right? For single egg one tray, single egg one tray. So that is kind of, if you have any different variable or different data, that you can use it. But if you are having a similar kind of data, uh, that is not recommendable, right? So similarly, we will consider a class of full, okay, 40 members. Okay, and if we wanted to store their names in Java, okay, so we can easily store that. Okay, so create 40 string variables with name 1, name 2, name 3, name 4, name 5, and etc. up to name 40, and we can start storing the values in them. But this looks like, it's kind of a very big approach, and we can still look into some alternatives, right? Creating 40 variables is not a good approach. Okay, so So if we think that, like, if we have something like a tray, to store all these string variables into it, right, into one place, correct? So like the same way what we have for x, right? So yes, so in Java it is actually possible. There are like various things that Java provided, to store multiple uh, data, but it has to be in the similar data type, okay, like string or int, okay, so whatever it may be, right? So yeah, so what exactly we can do that, okay, so we'll start with array, okay. So array is one of the predefined class which provided by Java, okay. So yeah, so what we have it in array, right? Array generally store all these elements in a format, okay. So it it holds all the index of the storage, okay. Like the index will be starting from 0, okay, and the maximum number till how much storage data that we are going to store inside the data, in the array. So it is going to keep on increasing its index number, and for one index, okay, so one data will be stored, like one type string type will be storing into the memory, okay. So an array is a special form of storage which stores multiple values of the same type, okay. The values are stored one after other, like a queue or a stack, okay. And we can access these values by using an index starting with 0. So the position of, as I mentioned, like, whenever it goes for the first position, we have to access it through the first index value, so that is 0. That is 0, okay. And the next position will be first position, and it continues, until unless the until the data ends, okay. Okay, so if you see here, this is the way that it is going to store 0th position, the first value, and 1 position, the second value. Okay, so let's see the other array, similar type of uh, collection classes what Java provided, okay, and interfaces. Okay, yeah. So I have only array list, linked list, and hash set and tree set. Okay, and hash map. Okay, so these are the 5 different type of collections that we are going to discuss, and we have lot of other, okay, but these are the 5 topics that I'm going to cover, okay. So with an example, okay. So what exactly Java array list, right? Java array list class uses a dynamic array, for storing elements. So it looks similar like the array what we discussed just now, okay, but there is no size limit, okay. So we can add or remove elements anytime, okay. So with the help of the predefined methods, whatever we have it, from array list, okay. So it is much more flexible than the traditional array. It is found in the
చెప్పు.
java.util package.
వీకెండ్స్ కూడా ఉంది. అదే నేను ఏం చెప్పాలి, 11 to 3 కదా, 5 hours అని వస్తాయి కదా అని అనుకున్నా. ఏం చెప్పాలో అర్థం అవ్వట్లేదు. ఈవెన్ ఐ థాట్ ద సేమ్. వీకెండ్స్ లో ఈవినింగ్స్ ఉంది, నాట్ ఫర్ ద హోల్ డే. ఆఫ్టర్ 5 సెట్, ఆఫ్టర్ 5 to 9, 4 hours అంటే
Okay, so yeah, so I was at Java array list. So it actually store, found in java.util.package, okay, for the Java array list. And when it goes to the Java linker list, okay, so it uses a doubly linker list in, to store the elements. So when I say linker list, right, so what it is going to look like. So I know this is an example, to store, to find out how the linker list, going to store its elements, right? So what exactly it does, it is going to store the previous element, okay, previous element address information, okay, first, and the data, and the after element, address information, in this. And it continues the same thing, after element and previous element, and like that, and it is going to store the data. So it inherits, abstract list class and implements list and dequeue interfaces. Why it is going to implement those things, right, to get some of the methods that we are going to utilize when we are adding or when we are deleting those elements. So it is going to follow, these two interfaces, okay, list and dequeue interfaces, okay. Yeah, when we go to the example, actually we'll be able to understand, okay. So let me go there and we can come back, okay, for these two elements, right? So sorry, these two collections, array list and tree map. Okay, so the first one is array list example. That's what we are going to see. And yeah, it is very basic example. So how we can add and how we can set. So that thing actually I was trying to, give you the demo. Okay, so just a minute. Yeah, so it's coming. Okay, so okay, so in this example, what I'm gonna do, I'm just, as I mentioned, this is a dynamic array, so that I never mentioned any size for it. So array list string, I just, make it the type of this array list is string. Okay, so it can store only the string values. Okay, and yeah, so the list, and I'm just declaring with the new array list. Okay, and after declaring it, after declaration, I'm just using that list to add, multiple values, okay, into it, right? So I have just added some, fruit names, okay, of similar type, right? It's like string data type. So I just added 4 different type of fruit names. And what I've just done, using list dot add. Okay, so this list dot add, right, it is what it is going to add, right, it is going to append, the elements, to the end of the list. Okay, so that means what it is going to do, for the first time when we don't have any data, so it is just going to add it for the 0th position. Okay, not 0th position, I'm sorry. So it is going to add to the end of the list. So that will be our first element. And the second one is list add apple. So it is going to just append after those, mango, and then apple and banana and grapes. Okay, so all these things will be added one by one. Okay, and when you print it, right, the list, So it is going to print all the array list object. Okay. And if you wanted to go and get very specific element, like which position if you want to print, right? So generally arrays will be starting with a 0th position, correct? So as we discussed in the last example, okay, so 0 and 1, 2, 3. So these are the positions what we have it. So I just printed list dot get of 1. So it will be returning the second element. Okay, that means apple will be written. Okay, so to on the screen. Okay, and so what I'm trying to do now, I'm just changing the apple, okay, to watermelon. Okay, so we can do that with set. So list is going to sorry, set is going to replace the elements at the specified positions. Okay, so the what is the position that we specified? It is specified as 1, and the data whatever we are passing it here, okay, the it will be replaced with the uh, it will be replaced in that position. So once it is replaced, actually I'm just printing it for the confirmation, right? So if you remember, we were talking about for each loop, when we are talking about the conditional statements, right? So this is the for each loop, which is utilized, for traverse, okay, list or a collection, okay, and we can print it easily, in the program, right? So if you see here, so what it is going to do it, right? It is just getting the list name, okay, whatever the data type, sorry, whatever the type of list that we declared it as, list here. So just use that list, and what type of data it is going to give it to you. So remember that it is going to give you a string type, right? So just declare a string variable and with a colon, and then the type of collection you have to, sorry, the name of the collection you have to give it here, and just print system.out.println the name of the string. So it is going to retrieve all the data from the list and one by one, and it is going to print it here in the in the form of fruit name, right? So once all the list elements has finished, this loop will be ended. Okay, so let's see, and how it works. I'm just so one. Okay, yeah. So if you see here, we just added mango, apple, banana, grapes, and it printed the list, okay, without any issue. Mango, apple, banana, grapes, first statement. And the second one we were just returning the element at position 1. So returning element at position 1 is apple. Okay, and later what we have done, we just added, okay, we just added one more extra element, that is watermelon, by replacing the position of 1. So that means apple should be replaced by watermelon. So if you see here, mango, watermelon, banana, grapes. So apple is replaced by watermelon. And then we were just utilizing for each loop, to traverse those lists, and it printed all the data, whatever we have sent it to, right? So yeah. So if you see it here, we have lot of other methods that we can explore in the list, right? So when you just do that list dot, and you can see a lot of other methods which Java provided internally, to handle this list, right? Okay, you can clone those object, okay, you can clone the same list, and into we can convert into uh, you know one more extra collection. Okay, so it is going to return an object type, and you can also check something, whether it is this kind of object is present or not, using contains method. And if you wanted to remove something, okay, you can just utilize the remove method, okay, with the specific index, and you can just try to print it again. So something like this, okay. So I'm just gonna try something, okay. So remove element. Okay, let me put it on the top of for each loop so that I don't require to print it one more time. Okay, so okay, I'm just remove element. Okay, list dot remove index is, so we'll just going to remove that same one. Okay, 15. Oh, okay, sorry. Wait. Okay. Yeah. Java list example. Okay, so if you see here, after before for each loop, I was just trying to remove the position of one. Okay, so watermelon has been removed, and then it printed only mango, banana, and grapes in the for each. So yeah, we can try a lot of other options like what we have under the list. Okay, so there are a lot of predefined methods that we can try it. Okay, yeah. So let me go back and let's go and check the other one, the linker list. Okay, we were talking about linker list actually. So let's see an implementation of the linker list as well. Okay, so yeah, so if you see here, the linker list is also pretty much same. Okay, so I've just used one single type data type, like to store the elements, that is string type. Okay, so I just declared a variable, sorry, an object of a linker list, and I was just utilizing those predefined methods, whatever we have it under list. So that is add, you know. Uh, add method, I was just utilizing it to add it to the existing list. Okay, so if you can see here, right, so a1 dot add and a1 dot add, so I'm just adding the uh, similar type of elements, right, data into the linker list. Okay, so here instead of using for each loop, actually I was using iterator. So this is one of other concept, to print it, to print the elements, of your collection, right? So the iterator is going to give you, it is going to iterate, or the entire collection, and if it is having an element, it is going to print it. So it has very two specific methods, that predefined methods, that we are using it for printing. The first one is has next, which is going to check the element exists for the next position or not. And the other one is it is next method. Okay, so next method is going to print the string, or whichever the type, right? It is going to print those data on the screen. Okay, so I'm utilizing system.out.println iteration.next, right? Iterator.next. So has next is going to check whether we have a next element or not, so that it can return a boolean. And the depending on that boolean value, while loop will be stop. Okay, it is going to stop that iteration, and it will be come out of that while loop. Okay, so has next is just to verify whether we have an element or not for the next position, and the next is it is going to give you the exact value of that position. Okay, so I've just added one more extra element over here, data, and this data, it is it is having one more extra name, and I'm just printing those linker list. Okay, and there are something different type of iterators as well. So if you wanted to see something in the descending order or ascending order iterator, okay, so you can still utilize this descending iterator. So it is going to give you the order of the order will be different, okay, when you try it, but the methods is always same, as next and next. Okay, so it is also having lot of other methods, okay, inside this. Okay, so let's see some of them. Al dot. Okay, so if you have add, we already used it. And yeah, the similar type of clone contains. Okay, and if you want to get a specific value of linker list, so you can just use get of index. Okay, and you can get those values, okay, from the index. And sorry, the at that position. Okay, so yeah, there are a lot of other things. Is empty, iterator. So is empty is kind of, if you wanted to check, do we have any elements in the collection or not, that it is going to return the Boolean value if it is empty, as a true, or if it is not empty, it is going to show you the false. And yeah, so there are a lot of other methods, okay, so that we can utilize according to your you know yeah, according to your requirement, right? So it is like the same way, the remove, again, the remove method, and we are utilizing the index of it, and to remove the object. Okay, so yeah, so let's go and execute the the program. Okay, so how this linker list is going to. Okay, I'm just gonna delete it. So, linker list one. Okay, yeah, so it executed, right? So first one is Ravi Vijay and Ravi Ajay, right? So all these two, these four things, okay, it was printed over there. So after invoking position based value, so we were just trying to get, we were just adding this one, right? You know, we were just iterating this, and we got all the values which were added. And after adding one more position, you know, Amy, right, at the first position. And so after adding it, so what it is going to do, so this is our 0th position and this is our 1 position, right? So it is going to add, the Amy in between Ravi and Vijay. Okay, so how it added, it is going to check for the position Vijay. So we were not removing the Vijay, right? What it is going to do, it is going to store the previous element array address, and in the post element array address, right? The memory address, and it is going to store in between of them. So if you see here, after invoking position based add value, so it printed Ravi and next Amy and then Vijay and then Ravi and Ajay, right? So this is how it does, okay? And when you are going with the descending iterator, okay? So Uh, yeah, so descending iterator, so how it is going to work, right? So it is going to come from the backward, okay? So that means, Ravi, now our current, linker list is Ravi, Amy, Vijay, Ravi, and Ajay, right? So now when you use the descending iterator, so it is not going to, sort anything on your, on your collection, but it is going to give you the values from the reverse order. Like it is going to start with Ajay and Ravi and Vijay and Amy and Ravi. So that's why if you see here, Ajay, Ravi, Vijay, Amy, Ravi. So that is going to print on the screen. The descending iterator is going to do that. Okay, and you already aware of has next and next. So it is going to be just checks whether the next element exists or not, and it is going to print the current element of that. Okay, so this is how the linked list works. Okay, and yeah, in the PPT actually, you have those like the comparison how array list and linked list is going to be, and just go through that. Okay, and so when we were discussing about multiple collections, right? So we'll go with the other three: hash set and tree set and hash map. And before so actually when we wanted to, depending on the data requirements, okay, so we have to choose one of the collection, um, you know what type of collection that the data that you are going to get it. Depending on that, we choose different type of collections. Okay, so how this hash set and hash map and tree map, what kind of data that it can store, right? So when we can choose these things, right? Simple ways, I'm just going to give a couple of examples of it. And yeah, so it's not only these things, but I'm just covering the basic ones, okay, to at least understand what kind of data it stores, and um, you know how to traverse that, and how to print all those elements. And just we are going to play with a couple of other methods which it's Java provided under these collection classes, right? So first is hash set. So Java hash set fits great when you don't want to have a duplicate objects in a collection. So so in the previous example, just we saw there is a duplicate data with the same name. If you remember, like, in the linker list, we have Ravi and Ravi, right? So, but it is still printing both elements, okay? So both data type, both data, it is just printing it. And in this case, you really don't require those duplicates, okay, in the collection. So what kind of approach that you can take, it is like hash set. Okay, so set, the default actually set is not going to allow any of the duplicate objects. So we'll just verify one of the example with hash set. okay, and then we go for hash map and tree map. Okay, so what exactly hash set is going to do, right? So yeah, so this is a hash set. uh, Actually, how I'm just declaring, the same way. If you wanted to add something, okay, into the into this hash set, so I just declared an object called h, okay, and which is a string type, okay. And the same way, what we have done for the other collections, I've just added couple of extra, a couple of elements into using add method. Okay, so h dot add India, Australia, and South Africa. Okay, so what I'm trying to do here, right? I'm just trying to, add a duplicate element again. Okay, adding a duplicate element. Okay, so what I'm trying to add, I'm just trying to add India again to the hash set, right? So what it is going to do, it is going to, give you an error message. Okay, so if you see here, so what it is, sorry. Okay, so if it is not going to, if it is this, the same object is already exist, like, with the same type, okay, or the same name, whatever we are passing it here, so then it is going to throw an error message to us, okay, saying that, it's like, it is going to return a false, because this is already there, the element is already present in the hash set, right? So let, we'll see the output over here once we run the program, like, how to display the hash set, the same way what we are trying to do. We were just adding it. So the we were just printing the system.out.println of that object. And also, when we, if you want to if you want to see something, whether that particular object or particular value exists in this hash set or not, you can just utilize contains method. So I was just adding that, so it is going to return a boolean value for you. Okay, where if the element exists, it is going to give you the true value. If not, it is going to give you the false. Okay, so similarly, we have remove method. Okay, so to remove the value from the list, or sorry, from the hash set. So h dot remove Australia, I'm just removing that. And yeah, so you are already aware of these things, iterator and all. So I'm just printing the remaining elements, whatever we have it under that hash set. Okay, so let's run this program. Okay, Java example. Example hash set. Okay, yeah. So the first thing what we are trying to do, we are just trying to add the element which is already present in the hash set. So India, so it returned a false to us. Okay, so it was not able to add it. And when you see here, if you're trying to print something h, okay, so it is actually printing, in a reverse order. Till now we never saw that, right? So yeah, hash set is not going to maintain the position of data, whatever it looks, okay, previously, whatever the format that you added, right, in this way, it is not going to print it on that way. Okay, so it will be either a different, okay, so it's not, so it will not be the same thing. Okay, so whatever you have added, it will not be in the same position. Okay, so you don't, whenever you are adding it, something to the hash set, so you will not expect, that thing, to be at this, at that position, right? So what we are going to do for that, we are just going to use the iterator, to print it. Okay, so iterator is like, we already know that it is going to traverse the complete collection, and it is going to print that, right? So before that, we were just, what we are trying to do, we were just using contains method. okay, whether to check the particular object is present or not. Okay, sorry, particular string is present or not. So it is going to check the same thing. Okay, so India, so it return a true value over there because it present. Okay, and after removing Australia, okay, so this is our list. We are just printing it South Africa and India. Okay, and yeah, then we were just iterating over the list. So we have South Africa and India. Okay, so we're just using with the iterator, and the same way, it is also having a lot of other methods, and sorry, yeah, lot of other methods that we can explore in the hash set, and you can utilize them. Okay, whenever what type of a requirement we have it, we can utilize those methods, and we can work on this hash set collection. Okay, so let's go back to the BBT. So hash map. So the next one is hash map. So a data which requires a kind of key and value pair, right? So in those cases, we would generally you go with hash map. Okay, so whenever the best example is like something related to if you're writing a program uh, to store some data related to dictionary. Okay, so in that dictionary we'll be having one key and lot of values, right? So like the set of data. So if you remember, if you take some word, and that word will be a key, and in the value you will be having a description of that word, or some description of that word. Okay, so in those cases, actually we go for to deal with those kind of data, we go with hash map. Okay, so which is having a key and a value pair. Okay, so that hash table or hash map makes sense because it is going to have the key and value pair. So word will be always keys in hash table, and as they are supposed to be unique, definitions on the other hand will be the values. Okay, that's how it stores. Okay, so let's go back and check example for hash map as well, how to deal with this collection. Okay, so yeah, so this is hash map. Okay, so which looks like, yeah, one second. Okay, so this is a hash map. Okay, so hash map declaration has been already done. So one is we were just adding it, so we were just creating a new object of hash map. And what is the type, right? We were just storing string type as a key and integer as a value. Okay, so that means key is the string, and the value is our integer. Okay, so I'm just adding you know the names of the persons and the age of their the persons. Okay, so when you access these elements, actually, you can utilize dot get method, to access a very specific object, or, if you wanted to remove a very specific object, you can just, utilize dot remove method. And also, if you wanted to check whether the, certain key exists or not, you can use contains key. And you can just utilize this size method to verify whether how much data we have it in the under the hash map. And if you want to print all those values, right, you just utilize entry set from hash map. Okay, so just I'm trying to run this program. Okay, okay, so if you see here, first one is we were trying to get the value of John, so it printed 25 of that value. And the second one, we just removed Jim. Okay, so Yeah, so it removed, and then I'm just looking for hash map dot contains key. So it returned a false for me, and then I just printed the size of a hash map. It gave me 2, and I just printed using entry set. I just printed all the values, okay, whatever we have it under the hash map. So it just gave me John equals to 25, Jane equals to 30, right? So only these two was there because Jim was deleted, using the remove. Okay, so there are other, actually, as I mentioned, like there are a lot of other methods that you can, utilize them, depending on your requirement. Okay, so you can just go through all those methods, okay, under the hash map, and yeah, it will be a good practice, before using that hash map in the program. So if you can just go through all those methods, what exactly it does, and yeah, it will be good to know. Okay, so always all the methods inside the hash map. Okay, and if you have any questions on those, let me know. Okay. Yeah, so let's go for the tree map. Okay, so a tree map, is also relies on the key or value pair. Okay, that cannot contain null values or duplicate entries. Okay, so and it is also sorted and in a natural order by key, or we can just make it as custom order as well, by another custom comparator. Okay, so what it exactly saying, it is going to be already in a sorted manner, and that is based upon the natural order. And if you wanted to really utilize your custom order, you can still do that using an extra code that we are just going to add some comparator related code, and we can sort them according to our requirement. Okay, so basically, this is like a tree. I think we can, whenever we have something in the word like tree, so it is like part two old relationship, okay, among a largest numbers, okay, of categories, right? So whenever it comes as a tree, right, if you are having uh, lot of data, okay, which is like wanted to store in kind of a branches, okay, so those kind of data actually we can have it under the tree map, okay, and which requires some kind of, okay, some, what do we say that, yeah, if you wanted to store some something data which is required for graphical interface, sorry, for the graphical presentation and all those things, so generally we go with the tree map, to store the data into that tree map. And yeah, so those type of requirements actually, I can give you an example. Okay, so what exactly, how it stores and all those things. So, and yeah, we can check on that. Okay, so let me go back to the example. Yeah, so it doesn't have the more like different type of methods or something. It will be having the similar way, whatever we have seen for other collections. But yeah, the tree map, it's going to store in this way, like on the top you will be having the root element, and under the root actually it will be having branches. Okay, so you have a element or b element, something like that. Okay, so that's how it is going to store it. Okay, so what I'm doing it here, so I'm just adding tree map dot put. Okay, so this is how the tree map has been created. One is string integer, it is going to be the key and value pair, and tree map dot put. So I'm just adding a as 1, D as 4, and C as 3, and B as 2. Okay, so now the I'm just getting a specific value of it, and then I'm just remove the B. Okay, and I'm just using tree map dot key set. Okay, and it is going to give you all the keys, and I'm just using system.out.println to print that key and value pair. Okay, so let me just execute this one. Java sample tree map. Okay, so if you see here, the value of A is 1, and okay, so the value of the value of A is 1, and I just remove the B value from the tree map. So that's why whenever we are utilizing this key set, so it just printed A, C, D, right? A, C, D. Okay, so yeah, this is what I was telling, right? When we are discussing about tree map, actually it contains its own sorting order, right? So the natural order based upon the keys, correct? So natural order. So if you see here, A and D and C, it has to print something like this, but actually it sorted it with A, C, D, right? So when you see here, so the first value is A and the second value is C and the third value is D. Okay, so before this, I can show you something. One second. Okay, just a minute. Okay, yeah, if you see here, so it already sorted this. Okay, so the elements, whatever we are sending it in a different order, I just get it A1 and D4 and C3 and B2. Okay, so it is not in a sorted order, but if you see here, I was just printing that tree map directly, and it gave me assorted elements. Okay, so A is equal 1, B is equal to 1, C is equal 3, and D is equal 4. Okay, so that's how it sorts in a natural order way based upon the keys. Okay, in the tree map. Okay, so let me go back. Okay, so as I mentioned, there are a lot of other collections as well. Okay, in Java. Okay, so yeah, try to refer them. Okay, so if you have any questions or let me know. Okay, I can help you out, and we'll discuss all the next topics tomorrow about threads and parallel processing, and a bit of the functional programming with the lambda expression, and that's it. After that we'll go with the next topics for the next week, right? So okay, so if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, you can feel free to drop off.